Hey guys, in this video, you'll learn how to build a simple Google Cloud function which will insert images into a storage bucket. So let's get started. So for this video, I've already created a project on Google Cloud, but what's remaining is that we have to enable our Google Cloud Storage Bucket API and our Google Cloud Run API. So let's do so now. To enable our APIs, we first go to Storage Bucket, Cloud Storage. So it's already enabled here for us. So here I'll create a bucket. Let's create a bucket for our tutorial. In this case, I'll call the example bucket and then my name Hussein2. Continue. Then we pick a region. I'll just go with the defaults. Continue. Continue, and then we create a bucket. Confirm. Now that our bucket has been created, let's enable Google Cloud Functions API. So in the search bar, you write functions, Cloud Run functions. Let's write a function here. So you go write a function. In line editor, let's create a name for it. So in this case, I'll just call it example API. Let's pick the default runtime. So I want to use JavaScript, allow unauthenticated invocations. I have to rename my API here. And then create. So I have to enable the Cloud Build API. So enable. Okay, so Google has already built a default endpoint for us. So now let's try to edit it. So our main idea should be that our API should accept a URL and a name field in a post request. So my first step should be to check if my request is actually a post request. So if rec.method is post, and then I would want to extract the URL and the name from the request body. So const URL name from request body, I would just return my fields to the user. So res.send, we do a backtick, URL, a $, so, and then a name. So of course, so if it's a post request, I just want to return the user's data back to them. And then I'll handle an else statement as well. Let's fix the indentation and then save and redeploy. But before doing that, we have a warning here that we can turn it into a ES module. So a quick fix, then let's convert it into an ES module. Now let's save and redeploy. Deployment has now been complete. Let's test it out. To test it, you just click on test. So we have a name field. So I'll just change it to Google Cloud Tutorial. We have a URL as well, so just let's change it to console.cloud.google.com and then test in Cloud Shell. Simply click on enter. Okay, so as you can see here, it's a bit hard to read, but we have the URL and the name fields. Now let's move on to the next step, where we actually download the image to Google Cloud Storage. So now that we're here in the source, we go to edit source. So I would first create a function here, but before that I would need the Axios module. So import Axios from Axios. But one thing is, how can we install the Axios npm module? To make this possible, you go to package.json and then Axios. But first I would need to check the npm version of this Axios module. So Axios npm. So I know that we are on version 1.9.0. So 1.9.0. Let's now move on. So within my file here, I create an async function. So async function download image, and then I want a response. So response should be await Axios. The method should be get, and then it should accept a URL of URL, but URL should be a parameter. So I go here, URL, I'll just zoom in so it's easier to see. And then let's change the response type to stream in case it's a larger image. Now that I have the response, I'll just simply pipe it. So response.data.pipe to create write stream. So one thing is, I want to save this image to local storage. But the thing is, how do I save it in a serverless context? Well, Google allows us to simply save it to a temporary folder. So /temp and then my file name. But in this case, file name should be a parameter. So the name of my file. But one thing is, I forgot to import create write stream. So let's import it now. So to import create write stream, I just go import create write stream. Since it's storing to the file system, I will have to import it from fs. Let's now move on. Now let's say that it has been saved to the local storage. So I return new promise, resolve, and reject. So response.data.on. So if the event is an end event, which means it was successful, I simply resolve it. Resolve. However, if it was an error, so I handle it like so. So response.data.on. So if it was an error, reject. So now that I've rejected them, I will indicate that it's an error. Let's now move on to actually using this function. So to use this function, I would just scroll down, and here I would simply go download image. So I have to select a URL. So as a URL, I would just take this image I found from Wikipedia, and my next parameter should be the file name. So I simply can write, since it's a NewJeans logo, I just go NewJeans logo.svg. Now that it has been downloaded, I want to check if it's actually within my temporary folder. So since it's a promise based function, I just go .then. So let's say it's been saved. I want to check it. So const files, read directory sync within temp. And then I just do console.log of files. So basically I want to check all of the files that are within my temp folder, but I have to import it now. So it's a part of the fs module. So I just scroll up and then reader sync. Let's now test it out. Save and redeploy, and then let's wait for it to be deployed. Let's now test it out. Since I've done a console.log, I go to my logs, and then let's wait for the logs to show up. So I'll test it. So my name is developer this time, and then URL is again console.cloud.google.com, and then I test in Cloud Shell once again. So enter, and then let's refresh our logs to see if our image and our URL actually shows up. So as you can see, we logged out our file names within the temp folder, and now they're being logged out here. This means that our files have now been saved in this directory. Let's now move on to the next step, which is to upload these images into cloud storage. So let's go to source once again, and then I close the shell. So now let's create a function to upload our image to cloud storage. So I simply, within my file, I go async function upload file, and then I have to create an options object. So within options, I want a destination property to be destination file name. So the name of the file that will be uploaded to cloud storage. So dest file name, let's call it. Next, I want my storage. So I have to create a storage instance in this case. So I have to import storage here. So import storage from at Google Cloud /storage. But one thing is, we haven't really installed the storage module. Once again, to install it, we simply go to package.json, and then I'll add my dependency. So at Google /cloud/storage. Well, once again, I need to check the version of my storage module. So once again, I'll go back to npm and see if we have Google Cloud Storage. So in this case, it's version 7.16.0. So 7.16.0. Now let's move on. So I'll go back to index.js. So my first step should be to get my storage instance. So const storage is equals new storage. Let's now scroll down to actually using my storage instance, and then await storage.bucket. So this parameter should be the name of my bucket. So in this case, I called it example bucket, then my name Hussein 2, the name of my bucket, and then upload. So my upload function will accept two parameters. So my file path and then my options. So this is the path to my file, which will be a parameter. And then when that's done, I can just console.log it out. File path is now saved in the bucket. Let's now move on into using this function. So scroll down. So then when everything has been downloaded, I simply want to upload it to my storage bucket within my main function. So here I can simply go upload file and then my destination file name. So it's simply name, comma. So my second parameter should be the path to that file. So in this case, when I'm saving it to the temp directory, so it's simply should be temp / and then the name of my file. So let's just call it name. But of course, I would need to fix my function. So download image, this case it should be URL and then the name. And now let's fix my code here. So I have to add my semicolons to make it look consistent. So far so good. Now let's save and redeploy our function. Now that it has been deployed, let's test it out. So in this case, its name should be NewJeans logo.svg, and then the URL of my image. So in this case, it's simply the link to my image. Now let's test it in the Cloud Shell and then enter. Let's go back to the logs to see if everything's working fine. And then I'll refresh to see if there are any new errors that's popping up. Cool. So as you can see in my logs here, /temp/NewJeans logo is now saved in the bucket. Let's now head back to the bucket to see if my image has already been uploaded. So here I just go buckets and then I have my bucket already. Cool. So earlier we uploaded the NewJeans logo to our bucket using the cloud function, and let's see if it's the correct image. Nice. And if I click on download, we should expect the image to show up. So yeah, well, that's it for today. So in this video, you learned how to create a simple Google Cloud function, and then using that Google Cloud function, you now learned how to upload that image or your images to a simple storage bucket. That's it for today. If you have any questions, just let me know. Till then, bye bye.